And that's the last thing I wanted to bring up was kind of the position that Beijing is in. Because obviously, if we're talking about this logically, right, if we're talking about the rare earth, the overall wealth of natural resources, the relationships with a country like Russia that also has a lot of natural resources, China's in this position where they're looking at the US and they're going, okay, the US can only do so much, but because of those limitations, it almost makes the US establishment more deadly, I would think, right? Because they know that they're running out of room. They know that they've got to act, that they, or at least they feel like they do, in order to target these various pillars of the multipolar world that are continuing to grow and are continuing to work together. So, how do you view the position that China's in right now and kind of the ways in which it's working to prepare, knowing that the US is likely going to do something that will be not only deadly, not only stupid, but that could throw us into a World War III type scenario, even as much as China has really tried to stop them from doing that and tried to say, hey, let's work together. We don't want this. But the US war machine doesn't seem to listen to any kind of logic.
Yeah, I think China's in a strategic dilemma. On the one hand, they keep on tending the, hand of cooperation, negotiation, win-win forward, and the U.S. I mean, they've actually said this. Kurt Campbell said this apparently to Chinese diplomats. He said, "Your win-win is bullshit." The U.S. cannot conceive of a world of multilateral equals cooperating in a win-win fashion. So China is doing things both over the long term, over the short term, and allying with other countries. So, for example, it's creating essentially energy sovereignty through, for example, the Power of Siberia 2, and also the incredible green energy revolution that is actually bringing about both in China and for the rest of the world. It's technically, I mean, it's starting to decarbonize the planet. And it's doing this because they know that the US can cut off oil, cut off gas at the Malacca Straits and elsewhere, but they cannot cut off the sun. And the wind and the waves, unless they, bomb the planet and we end up with nuclear winter. That's a different issue. But so they're building out energy sovereignty, they're building out financial sovereignty, they're building out the geostrategic capacity to resist, they're building economic relations with the rest of the world. It's kind of this go board where you build connections, you connect in order to live, as opposed to the US, which I said is positioning in order to kill. And then they're also, mindful of all the other things that are happening. U.S. is doing a lot of gray zone warfare. As it escalates to kinetic war, it is also doing a lot of gray zone warfare, in particular in the information domain, but also around criminal activity and subversion all along the periphery. And I think that and as well as sanctioning and trying to sanction all of China's allies and trying to disrupt all of its BRI related infrastructure, as well as going directly after China's allies and key partners, namely Iran, Venezuela, and Russia. So I think China is doing what it can. It can only do so much. And I'm sure that there are strategic thinkers who are also saying, we have to prepare for the worst. We hope for the best, but we also have to prepare for the worst. And I think during the recent military parade celebrating the victory over Japanese fascism, they showed some of their actual hardware. The Dongfeng 61 that carries 60 warheads plus a hydrogen warhead. And so I think they're sending the message, we want peace. This is why they released the doves. We want cooperation. We want win-win, mutually beneficial relations. And if push comes to shove, we'll do what we did with the Japanese, which is we'll fight back. We'll fight back, and we'll fight to the last person. We will not, submit. We will not let ourselves be genocided the way that the Japanese did with us.